retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it.
Testing, testing. How is it going, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you all are doing great. This is E-Vlog coming to you live. Welcome on another podcast on another topic. Now, today's topic will be focused on the crazy things, the things that we may know, but for some reason we have forgotten, or for some particular reason we did not put it into perspective enough for us to realize and recognize that they are wild. So today will be 10 crazy Dragon Ball theories that will blow your mind. It is Friday the 15th. Time is 5:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your boy just finished working out not too long ago. I got my protein shake here to help me while I will be doing this podcast, and we're gonna get into it sooner than later. But before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, let's understand that Dragon Ball. When I mean Dragon Ball, I mean the entirety of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has a lot of memories, a lot of crazy memories, and today we'll be going through specific details, specific information that will be good for us to pay attention or look into it a little closer. So without further ado, let's get into it. As I go into it, I will be reading articles, information to help edify my topic today, all right? Now, let's start here. So, this article is from CBR, obviously, by Daniel Coland. I'm sure that this person, this individual, this gentleman must be and got to be a Dragon Ball fan to illustrate these crazy ideas that we're going to be going through today. And of course, you will get my perspective on each and every information that is provided here because, of course, I'm a fan of Dragon Ball and we'll be going through it. So the first article here is Kia Toriyama's Dragon Ball has crafted an impressive legacy that's still going strong after more than 40 years. Dragon Ball's timeline covers a lot of ground, but there are still plenty of events that are open to interpretation. Okay? There are a couple of things that are still open for discussion. The passionate fandom that Dragon Ball has invited loves to read between the lines and develop compelling headcanon, some of which is even more interesting than what actually happens in the series. The next paragraph that I have here is there is a playful nature to Dragon Ball in which it often feels like anything is possible. Dragon Ball has taken some big swings over the years, the likes of which have helped it buy a little more leeway when it comes to pushing boundaries. Of course, we know that Dragon Ball, the entire series, has pushed boundaries that are quite mind-blowing, you know? It's unclear what lies ahead in Dragon Ball's future and where any new stories will be told. In the meantime, there is still an abundance. Oof, man, I like that. Abundance. Say it again. Abundance. Let me say it one more time. Abundance. Let me say it for the sake of the measures. Abundance of exciting fan theories to keep fans satisfied and prompt deep discussions. Dragon Ball since day one has been pushing boundaries. This is well known. And for the fact that we know that there are abundance of plots that can be explored. Towards the ending of Dragon Ball Tournament of Power, Dragon Ball Super, due to the fact that Universe 7 won the tournament, and out of selfless heart of Android 17 wished for everyone to be brought back, thus Zeno bringing back all the universes, including the one that Zeno saw fit to wipe out simply because they were not doing what they were supposed to do. They went out of order. They went out of line. And Zeno, being a very, should I say cruel, but very, I wouldn't even say diplomatic, very strict with his rules and regulations, saw fit to wipe out the other universes. But those other universes has been brought back. Not just the fact that towards the ending of Dragon Ball Super Tournament of Power, the other universes that were wiped out were brought back. At the same time, there are other plots to explore, such as the Namekians. We can get to know more about them. The Saints, we can get to know more about them. Frieza's generation, or Frieza's civilization, how they were before they came to power. Because it seems like Frieza and his people has always been overpowered, right? Things has always come easy to them based on what we've seen, based on what has been portrayed. Because Frieza did not have to train at all. You know, he just gets it. You know, for the fact that Frieza and his bloodlines and his people were able to get on top of the mountain, to rise on top of the mountain in the level that they did. I mean, King Cold knew about Beerus and also knew about Majin Buu. And King Cold told his son Frieza, there are two people. Let me not say people like it's more like humans, right? There are two individuals, there are two species, two that you should stay away from. Do whatever you must to not be on their bad side. Do whatever you must do, even if you have to lick their boots, even if you have to shine their boots, even if you have to kiss their ass. Mwah! Do it. Don't mess around with them. If you have to stay away from them, stay away from them, but never get on their bad side. Those two individuals were Majin Buu and of course the one and only, the god of destruction, Beerus. And knowing what we know now, knowing the fact, the simple fact that Beerus has been, is one of the crucial deities in Universe 7, for King Cole to have that information. I mean, Kami doesn't even know who Beerus is. I'm not sure, because there's never been a time where that has been um, specularized that Kami knows about the god of destruction, Beerus, or Xena for that matter. But King Cole knows about these deities. You can't there ain't no way an individual or a species will know about these deities unless you are worth their time. You got to be somebody. You got to have some level of accolade, some level of recognition to know who these deities are. And for the fact that King Cole knows who knows who Beerus and Majin Buu is, that is quite top notch. So Frieza's generation, Frieza's people, Frieza's clan, we will get to know about them, or we will want to know about them. Of course, Universe 6, the Saiyans in Universe 6, their planet, what type of Saiyans are they? Of course, during the Tournament of Power or Dragon Ball Super, we got the chance to know the Saiyans from Universe 6, but we still don't know what type of life that they live, what type of formula, what type of protocol do they follow. We kind of know that they are a little bit different from Universe 7 Saiyans, because they've evolved to the point where they don't need a tail. They don't have their tail. All they need to do is have this tingly thing. Feel this tingly, which is very stupid analogy to begin with, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. That is a stupid analogy. In order for you to go Super Saiyan, you have to feel this tingly thing on your spine, and that can allow you to trigger your Super Saiyan transformation. Be there as it may, whether we like it or not, that is what we got. So the Saiyans from Universe 6, what they're all about, Jiren, what he's all about. There are so many ways to explore the next future, the future of Dragon Ball. Those universes that were destroyed, the story of those universes, what were they doing? What type of gods of destruction lies in those universes? Are they other Saiyans race? Right? Is there other Saiyan race that lies in those universes that was brought back by Zeno? And of course, during the time King Vegeta was speaking to his son, Prince Vegeta, and was educating him about their race, we can see tons of space pods were flying out of planet Vegeta. And I know I can bet a nickel on it that Vegeta, Goku, Broly, Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and of course Vegeta's brother are not the only Saiyans that are out there. There got to be more Saiyans that are out there. There got to be more. There got to be more, based on the fact that space pods can break down. Thank goodness that we got the chance to see Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. If it wasn't for Frieza Force that came to the planet where Broly and his father, Paragas, reside, ain't no way they would have been able to fly off that planet. They were able to get out of that planet, thus Frieza's army located them there. So, which means all those space parts that were leaving Saint's planet Vegeta, while Vegeta was speaking to his son, the prince, all those space parts, ain't no way all those space parts made it to their destination safely. Those space parts might have been damaged in a way, shape, or form. That happens all the time. You know, as humans as we are, airplanes do crash because of one thing or the other, right? And there could be survivors. So, and on top of that, not everybody got Frieza's call to return back to planet Vegeta. Not everybody got that call. And even if they got the call, not everybody would have made it. Because some people or some Saiyans may still have doubts. Why is Frieza calling all the Saiyans to arrive or to come back home or to assemble in a huge amount of time like this? Why should we go to answer Frieza when he wants to gather all of us all in one place at the same time? That's kind of fishy, you know? For Frieza to raise a call and have all the Saiyans around the globe or around the cosmos to return back to their planet, that he has a meeting or he has something to tell them. I'm sure that there are Saiyans who knows what Frieza is all about, and they were very skeptical on answering that call. So I would say that Frieza did not get them all, although he did make the Saiyans instinct. You know, he did destroy a good, huge amount of Saiyans when he blew up planet Vegeta. I could remember vividly when Frieza blew up planet Vegeta, or while the planet was blowing up, the excitement on Frieza's face is just priceless. I think on one of the Dragon Ball Z versions, he says, "Oh, it's popping like popcorn" or something like that. You know, he is pure evil. So be that as he may, there are tons of tons of boundaries and abundance. Sorry, not boundaries, abundance of areas that they can tackle in the next upcoming arcs, right? So be that as it may, let's continue with this rundown. I just had to do that monologue a little bit, you know. So number 10, Future Trunks' sword is Tapion's brave sword. Now we all remember this. This was Dragon Ball Z's movie 13th, the 13th movie, Rat of the Dragon. Tapion was quite a character. Quite a character. He kind of had that spiky hair, that kind of, you know, if you're not mistaken, if it was not introduced on first sight, you would think he's an android or something. Because, and also he kind of looks like Yubu, right, from Dragon Ball Z. Like, you know, he kind of looks like him, except the F ears that he got. So let's look into this. Dragon Ball has had a lot of fun with the similarities and difference that exist between Future Trunks and the Prime Timeline's younger version of the character. These two are both accomplished Super Saiyans, but the series has also repeatedly highlighted that these two are not the same character. Dragon Ball Z's 13th movie, Rat of the Dragon, concluded with the heroic Tapion giving his mighty brave sword to Trunks as a gift. Now, for some people who were not aware on how Trunks got his sword, because I'm sure most Dragon Ball fanatics must have watched all the movies. Now, some may not have watched the movie. Dragon Ball Z's 13th movie, Rat of the Dragon, that was where Trunks got his sword. So this is an eye-opening for some of you. If not, most of you who may not have seen that movie, please go check it out. You will get more information from there. You will even get to see Goku in Super Saiyan 3 form using okay, I kind of don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but you will Dragon Fist will be introduced in that movie. Let me continue here. There is heavy speculation that this is the origin of future Trunks' sword and where it comes from. Dragon Ball Z keeps this theory up in the air since Wrath of the Dragon occurs at the series end, and Trunks doesn't use a sword in Dragon Ball Super. It's possible that future Trunks also had to deal with Hera Digun in his timeline and crossed paths with another version of Tapion. As unlikely as it is, there is still heavy speculation that these two swords are supposed to be the same. Yeah. So, number 9. Goku survives the Ultra Divine Water because he's a Saiyan. Yeah, you can see Yajirobe. He's surprised. How are you doing this? The Ultra Divine Water is a sacred relic that's guarded by a sinister entity known as Darkness. Goku seeks the Ultra Divine Water when he's desperate to grow stronger so that he can defeat Demon King Piccolo. 13 people previously drank the Ultra Divine Water, none of whom survived. Goku nearly perished from this process, but becomes the first survivor and grows substantially stronger as a result. So you could say that Goku survived this process based on the fact that he's a Saiyan. His DNA is a little different from the people that has taken part of this water. And it could also be like the destitute that is involved, because King Piccolo was going to take over the world. King Piccolo's ambition was to run the whole world and to subjugate the world, Earth, under his will. If you guys remember, on Dragon Ball Z Planet Namek, when Frieza attacked Piccolo, when Goku hit Frieza with the Spirit Bomb, and Frieza comes back, attacks Piccolo, knocks him out, and Goku then transformed into a Super Saiyan, the very first Super Saiyan. Goku tells Gohan to get the F out of here. Of course, Gohan reluctantly didn't want to go, but Goku said, you better get out of here before I lose any sense of humanity that I have. You know what I mean? So Gohan took Piccolo and went to the ship. When Bulma saw Piccolo, of course, was unconscious at the time, and Bulma wanted Gohan to leave Piccolo on planet Namek so that they can escape together. Now, I'm not gonna knock Bulma because of that. I will not knock Bulma because of that, simply because if you guys remember, Gohan refused to let Piccolo or to leave Piccolo on planet Namek simply because Piccolo was the one that trained him. Piccolo is now almost like a father, almost like an elder brother. Anything you can ask for. Piccolo was the one that took care of Gohan when Goku died. So, and Piccolo is Gohan's teacher. So Gohan refused not to leave Piccolo, and Bulma was arguing with him. Now, the reason why Bulma was insisting that Piccolo should leave sorry, that Gohan should leave Piccolo on planet Namek because Bulma was around during the evil reign of King Piccolo. Gohan did not get to see the evilness King Piccolo was able to dish out on planet Earth, right? So Bulma witnessed those times and remembered how much of a trouble King Piccolo was. And of course, Piccolo himself has been itching, wanting, dying, scratching, yearning to kill Goku. And Bulma knows about this. So I wouldn't knock Bulma the fact that she wanted Gohan to ditch Piccolo on planet Namek so that they can escape. So being that as he may, I just wanted to bring that perspective, as well for us to, to add more perspective to this topic. Goku's ability to survive the trial reinforces the character's heroic purity. And it's a moment that's reminiscent of his survival against Spike, the devilment being. That being said, Goku might have actually survived the ultra divine waters near toxic effects because he's actually a sane. His body may be more resilient than that of a human. Plus, he would benefit from a Zenkai boost like upgrade afterwards. So it wasn't just because Goku survived this divine water simply because he's a pure-hearted individual. Not just that, but also because he's a sane, his DNA, his chemical structure, his body is just different. It's just built different from regular human beings. So let's move forward. Number 8. Future androids 17 and 18 weren't weaker than the prime timelines versions. Now, this is imperative. This is very interesting because for non-experienced Dragon Ball fans, for non-experienced Dragon Ball fanatics, they may think that during this moment, the two androids, right, from Trunks' timeline. Let me make sure that you guys can see the pictures like I see. Okay, you guys see it perfectly. Let me make sure. Hold on. Right there. Unexperienced Dragon Ball fans may think that future Trunks, Android 17 and 18 are weaker than the main timeline. That is absolute false. That is absolute force. Because future Trunks timeline was way worse. Android 17 and 18 were way more ruthless than they were in the original timeline. They were way more. Future Trunks timeline was just nothing but disaster, calamity, bad blood, animosity, devastation, right? And let's not forget Black Goku just decimating Earth, right? So they were not weaker at all. They were actually worse because in the normal timeline, Android 17 and 18 were not really into killing the Z Warriors unless if provoked. They were not really they were more into having fun, right? And not really seeking out to, of course, having fun means doing evil, devastating, doing whatever the heck they want, which will inevitably involve the Z Warriors. But they were not as ruthless as the future Trunks Android 17 and 18. The future Trunks Android 17 and 18 was massacring the Z Warriors like there's no tomorrow. The difference is here is when they fight, they make sure you are dead. On the current timeline, when Android 18 broke Vegeta's arm, right? She could have easily killed Vegeta right in there. And you guys remember, before Vegeta went out for this battle, Future Trunks, understanding the ruthlessness, the evilness, the amount of damage, the amount of destruction, the amount of chaos, the amount of devastation future Android 17 and 18 has caused, was very terrified and reluctant, right? He was very terrified, seeing his father going into battle to take on Android 17 and 18, because in his timeline, those two were just ruthless. They were just ruthless. It was literally ruthless aggression moment, ruthless aggression all the way. So, and I would say that the current time, the main timeline, Android 17 and 18 were a little lenient, because after Vegeta was defeated, when Vegeta was defeated and Android 18 made sure that he went back to his normal base, they could have easily used that moment to take out each and every one of the Z Warriors, because you have Trunks there, you have Piccolo there, you have I think Gohan took his father home, right? I think you have Tien there, right? Most of the Z Warriors, the people that can actually make a huge difference, were there. So if Android 17 and 18 wanted to decimate everybody, they could have. And I think another thing that helped the situation, okay, because before I get there, another thing that helped the situation was Android 16 made a lot of difference. Because when Future Trunks came back, he was not aware that there was another android named Android 16. And Android 16 objectives was to kill Goku. So based on the fact that Android 16's objectives was to kill Goku, Android 17 and 18 felt like, you know what? We have an android here, a friend, who is who is bent on killing. So that took the pressure off them to have the mindset, to go on a killing streak. Unlike the Future Trunks Android 17 and 18, the Future Trunks Android 17 and 18 did not have Android 16. There was no mention of Android 16 in Future Trunks timeline. So you can see the difference. And because there was no Android 16, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure I'm correct on this topic. Because there was no Android 16 to help even, or to help nullify, or to help dilute, or to help diversify the urge to kill. That was the reason why Future Trunks timeline Android 17 and 18 had no choice but to go on a killing streak. So one of the only reasons that the Z fighters survived the android invasion and Cell's aftermath is because Future Trunks travels through time to give them a to give them a considerable heads up. Future Trunks know that androids are on the way, but he's crestfallen when he realizes that this timeline already has substantial differences from his own, such as additional androids. Future Trunks also laments that this timeline's androids 17 and 18 are considerably stronger than the ones from his timeline. Wait a minute. So Trunks is saying that these android Future Trunks also laments that this timeline's androids 17 and 18 are considerably stronger than the ones from his timeline. Now, if Trunks is saying that the current timeline, Android 17 and 18, are considerably, it doesn't mean absolute. Although he said it's considerably stronger than the ones on his timeline, that doesn't mean absolute, that they were very stronger. But the differences are the Android 17 and 18 from Future Trunks timeline, they are way more ruthless. Very much ruthless. And based on the fact that on the current timeline, another difference is Android 19 and Dr. Gero, who is Android 20, were involved now. So which cannot change things, because as soon as Future Trunks noticed that all these androids, he was like, wait a minute, where are all these androids popping out of? Because during his timeline, there was no Android 19 or Android 20 for that matter, or Android 16 for that matter, right? In reality, it's likely that future androids 17 and 18 are just as strong as androids 17 and 18, meaning they never used the full extent of their power against Future Trunks and Future Gohan, because they were never pushed to this point. Future Trunks only witnessed a friction, there you go, a friction of what his timeline's androids can do. So it's understandable that he believes them to be weaker than they really are. It's also possible that future androids 17 and 18 only kept Future Trunks and Future Gohan alive as a form of entertainment. They were just ruthless like that. They took no hostages. They were killing humans. They were just massacring people like there's no tomorrow. Right? Let's continue. Number 7. Bulma's desire to wish for a boyfriend inadvertently causes the Saiyan saga. The original Dragon Ball puts Bulma on a hunt for the Dragon Balls because she wants to wish for a boyfriend. Bulma's wish doesn't actually come to pass, but her request seemingly gets granted when she acknowledges the bond that she's formed with Yamcha. This is a sweet way for Dragon Ball to give the characters what they want, while still subverting their request to Shenron. However, some fans have taken this principle and gone several steps further to imply that Bulma's desire for a boyfriend is what ultimately brings Vegeta and Nappa to Earth. Now, this is a wild speculation, which is arguably may be correct. may be correct, which is arguably may be correct. Bulma's desire to have a boyfriend and her always hunting Dragon Balls, always seeking them out because she is a scientist. She uses those routers or those scouters or whatever to track them. It it might be what actually brought well, first of all, it might be what brought Raditz to planet Earth, and then Vegeta and Nappa. Vegeta enters the series as a villain, but he gradually softens his rough edges and builds a beautiful family with Bulma. The roundabout idea that Dragon Ball Z's Saiyan invasion is actually the result of Bulma's young love request is a development that would have likely assumed Kia Toriyama. Amused Kia Toriyama. There are definitely some problems with this theory, considering that Bulma doesn't actually make a wish on the Dragon Balls. However, Shinron does have an unexpected way of giving characters what they want outside the official wish limitations. So what they're actually saying here is the fact that Shinron is a powerful deity in his own right, and messing with Shinron, because to mess with the Dragon Ball and to have a wish granted, messing with Shinron may actually allow Shinron to grant a wish, a deepest, like a wish that Shinron might able to spiritually my able to hold on, how do I put this? Shinron being a deity, and somehow, some way, I could even say he's a spiritual deity with the power to grant wishes, may tap into Bulma's inner desire, right? Because when you're messing with a spirit, messing with a deity like that, and especially a deity that is able to grant wish, knowing the fact that they have this cosmic ability, they might be able to read mind and read inner desire, inner thoughts. And we know that Bulma has always been a fan of strong men, strong individuals. She's always been a girl that loves, or that that is attracted to strong masculine men, strong masculine individuals, right? Number 6, Goku and Frieza's 5 minutes fight plays out in slow motion. Now, this is true, and I know all the Dragon Ball fanatic, you guys must know that when Frieza blew the core of planet Namek, when he blew its back out, right? When Frieza blew blew its back out, you could just see that there's a planet and there's a huge ass hole behind it. Frieza said that this planet will be gone within 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes took how many episodes? What, like 3, 4, 5 episodes? The fight between Frieza and Goku lasted longer. Like as soon as Frieza blew a hole on planet Namek, and said this planet only has 5 minutes before it turns to smithereens. That fight, from the time Frieza said that, we got, I believe, 2 to 3 more episodes. So that's way more than 5 minutes. The fight lasted in slow motion. That is indeed true. And I'm sure most of you guys noticed it, that their fight was more than 5 minutes. I mean, from the time Frieza lamented that planet Namek only has 5 minutes before it blows up or before it blobtuates, before it blobtuates, um, from that moment, him and Goku did a power struggle, and Frieza was able to evade that and hit Goku right into the core. We thought that was a foreshadowing, and we thought that Goku died, but Goku didn't die. And from then, Gohan reached the spaceship, dropped Piccolo, have Bulma look after Piccolo, turned around, came back to Frieza, fought Frieza for a little bit, and King Kai communicating with Kame, all these things, and then they wished Purunga, or they used Dragon Ball, Earth's Dragon Ball, to wish what's his name, Guru. Thus, Purunga came back, and all these things happened. That's way more than 5 minutes. That is way more than 5 minutes. So yes, indeed, that fight, it's literally played as a slow motion because it was just too long. It was way more than 5 minutes. Dragon Ball developed a habit in which longer fights translate to better fights. Of course, this isn't always the case, and Dragon Ball Z essentially hits a breaking point when it comes to Goku and Frieza's laborious battle on Namek, which lasts for nearly 24 episodes. Goku and Frieza's fight is filled with anime original fillers that pads out their duel and dilutes the experience. The most egregious example of this is when Frieza declares that he's set Namek's destruction in motion, which will occur in 5 minutes. However, Goku and Frieza continue to fight for 10 more episodes. Oh shit! Yo, I thought it was 2 to 3 episodes because it's been a while, man. 10 more episodes, ladies and gentlemen. It continued to fight for 10 more episodes. This has led to much mockery over Frieza's 5-minute claim. However, a plausible theory justifies this lengthy number of episodes by saying that they are actually playing out in slow motion as a way to reflect these titans' remarkable speed. There is a certain logic to this theory, especially since Dragon Ball has repeatedly reiterated that normal individuals can't even detect the movements of advanced key users. That may be so. Okay, that may be so, but if you put into account that after Frieza said what he said, Gohan went to the spaceship, dropped off Piccolo and Bulma, returned back, fought Frieza for a little bit. Goku comes back, takes over the battle, the battlefield, tells Gohan to get the hell out of here, and then you have King Kai communicating with Kami, thus using the Earth Dragon Ball, like I said, thus using the Earth Dragon Ball to wish Guru back. Thus, Purunga returns for a moment, right? Thus, the wish is made. Thus, everybody is transported back to Earth. Thus, Goku and Frieza fighting for some more, right? Thus, Goku getting the best out of Frieza by Frieza's attack, cutting him into two. Thus, Goku giving Frieza some of his energy. Thus, Frieza making a mockery out of Goku. And he's sort of drifting in space like Goku told him. Drift in space for a while and think about all your evil deeds. Hopefully, you will find peace, right? Frieza said to himself, did this man just diagnose me with some type of good talk or some type of wisdom? Did this man just diagnose me? I'm not going to live with myself. This is PTSD. I'm not going to live with myself. Should this man, should, no, not, should this sane leave this planet alive? Right? Thus, Goku, Frieza firing at Goku, Goku returns the favor, and which impacted and was able to fasten Planet Namek's destruction. So whether or not that they are so strong that they are moving so fast that the fight had to be played in slow motion, that may be so. But if you compute the other little things that were happening while while the battle was going on, it was way more than 5 minutes. Whether they were able to move in fast speed or not, still the process was just more than 5 minutes, and it was just too long. Let's move forward. Number 5, Goten is such a natural Super Saiyan because of the circumstances behind his conception. Now, I can see the point to this. I can see the point to this. The potential of those boys, Goten and Trunks, their potential is just off the chart based on the fact that these two kids at age what? Age 5, they can already transform into the first Super Saiyan. That calls for an eyebrow raising, right? That calls for an eyebrow to be raised. At such a young age, they are able to turn to obtain Super Saiyan. This form took Goku and Vegeta nearly to their death. Of course, Vegeta died in order for him to obtain his, right? But Goku didn't. Goku almost died. Like you can tell, like it took Goku training into 50 times, if I'm not mistaken, or 100 times gravity, and Vegeta dying, coming back, goes into the spaceship, uses the time gravity to, I believe it was 100 or something, or 500 to train. You know, they went through so much. They went through so much to obtain Super Saiyan, and to see Goten, right, able to obtain Goten and Trunks being able to obtain Super Saiyan at such a young age, you can just tell if they can hone into their ability, if they can hone into their sane DNA and continue to train vigorously, they will surpass their predecessors. But here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing. You know what they say? Good times. Okay, good times brings weaker civilization. Tough times, rough times brings stronger, wiser generation. So even though the potential of Goten and Trunks is so unbelievable, still, based on the fact that their predecessor, their father, right? And then you have Gohan, and then you have the Z Warriors, based on the fact that all these characters are still alive and are so strong, right? The proclivity, right? I can't say this word now. The proclivity. Oh my goodness. Let me drink some. Let me drink some. Let me drink my protein shake. Hopefully, it will allow me to say this word. All right. Let me try that again. The procivily. Fuck. The procivily. No, the procivily. The procivily. The procivily. The proclivity. The need for Trunks and Goten to strive to be the absolute best is a little bit limited, right? Although they're still young, although their predecessors are so strong and will gain stronger ability or will gain stronger transformation as time goes on, the need, the desire, the destitute for these kids to train till they drop is not really there. Of course, if Toyotaro, because Kia Toriyama is no longer with us, bless his soul, if Toyotaro is going to adapt a series or some type of a movie or some type of an arc that will focus on Goten and Trunks, that will be good. Because based on the fact that their fathers, their brother, are so strong, the desire for them to go train is not really there. And based on the fact that each time there is a villain, now I will give them credit. I will give Goten and Trunks credit. Where will I give them credit? For the fact that these kids wanted to fight Frieza. They did their fusion dance. I'm talking about Dragon Ball Super, Revival of F. When Frieza came to planet Earth and wanted revenge, Goten fused with Trunks in order to fight Frieza. They were not afraid. Now you can say is the desire in them being a saint, based on the fact that they are saints, the desire, the thrill for battle, the hunger for battle will always loom or bloom in those children. I will give them credit. They are not afraid. They are not wusses. But in order for them to get the desire to do better, they're going to have to face a threat of their own. In order for Trunks and Goten to get better, to get stronger, to evolve once again, because every time they always have to rely on teamwork. They always have to rely on each other to use the fusion dance to fuse to fight an opponent. What if a situation that doesn't work? What if a situation that they don't have the time to do the fusion dance? What I'm trying to say is it won't be a bad thing, because just like I said in the beginning, the abundance of arcs to go into, the abundance of ways to continuously put out an arc on Dragon Ball Super. They can capitalize on these kids and have them face a threat of their own that will push them in order for them to surpass their limit. You know what I mean? But their potential, man, these two, they have more potential than their predecessors. They have more potential than Gohan. I'm sorry to say it. Although we know that Gohan's potential is still vivid, still blooms, his potential is still strong than ever. Yet, these two kids, Trunks and Goten, their potential is way more vivid than Gohan at this point, because at this young age, they're able to obtain Super Saiyan transformation at ease. It just came like that. And paying attention to Goten and Trunks during the Buu saga, how quick they are able to adapt into situations, how resilient they are, how diversified they are, how intuitive they are. Their potential is a real thing not to neglect, So Gohan remains an incredible. Sorry, Goku. I just said Gohan. Goku remains an incredible, powerful character. Yet, Dragon Ball loves to suggest that his children and descendants have the potential to achieve even greater strength. Gohan sets new Saiyan milestones when he becomes the first Super Saiyan 2. Not to be outdone, Goten becomes the youngest Super Saiyan and he accomplishes the pivotal form when he's only 7 years old. I guess I was a little bit off with the age 5 thing, right? I guess I was a little bit off with the age 5 thing that I said. 7 years old, the youngest Super Saiyan ever. Goten's natural strength is certainly consistent with the rest of Goku's family tree. However, there is also a popular theory that Goten is a natural Super Saiyan because Goku maintained this form during Goten's conception. Well, we all know how Goten and Trunks were able to obtain due to the fact that their fathers were already able to obtain Super Saiyan transformation. But the interesting thing about Goten Super Saiyan is the fact that Goku and Gohan trained so much that they were able to maintain their Super Saiyan form, their regular Super Saiyan form, for a long time. They were able to maintain it. They were able to keep tab on it. That they were able to just like they use their regular Super Saiyan form as their base, which means they maintained it while they're sleeping, while they're going anywhere. They never ran out of power. Even Vegeta was surprised. Did I miss something? How is Kakarot and his son able to maintain their regular Super Saiyan like as if it's their normal base? What is their secret? So, meaning that Goku was stronger. Of course, we know that Goku was stronger than Vegeta in terms of the Super Saiyan power gap. So, which will edify my point that even though Trunks is a little older than Goten, but based on their conception, Goku was in his regular Super Saiyan, the first Super Saiyan, right? They use their regular Super Saiyan as base. So meaning, not only that is Goku stronger than Vegeta during Goten's conception, also Goku was able to mate with Chi-Chi while being in his regular first Super Saiyan. So even though that Trunks is maybe a little stronger, just a little bit stronger than Goten, Goten's potential is just getting started. And if Trunks doesn't watch out, Goten will surpass him. All right. Goten would need to be conceived during the time leading up to Cell Games before Goku dies. During this period, Goku and Gohan perpetually maintained their Super Saiyan forms with the hopes of helping them push the transformation to greater heights. It's not unreasonable to presume that this behavior could have played a biological factor in Goten's birth. I believe that he plays a biological factor. And no way this will not play a biological factor. It definitely will. Now, like I said, even though that Trunks may be just a tiny little bit stronger than Goten, based on the fact that during Goten conception, Goku was in his Super Saiyan form as his regular base, and knowing that Goku was stronger than Vegeta during this period, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Let's continue. Number 4, Dragon Ball Super's wishes have been building to the Shadow Dragons. All right. Now, this is very interesting. I'm sure if you're watching this podcast, if you're watching this video, I'm sure you are aware of Dragon Ball GT. I'm sure that you are aware of Dragon Ball GT. Now, Dragon Ball GT, the finale of Dragon Ball GT, or let me say the last arc of Dragon Ball GT, reveals, or not reveals, it was based on the overuse of Dragon Balls, okay? The overuse of the Dragon Balls, thus causing an epidemic. The overuse of the Dragon Balls and Bulma and the other Z Warriors making stupid wishes. I think the pig, I forgot his name, he wished for an underwear. The best looking underwear he could get. That's a stupid wish. So because they overuse, due to the overuse of the Dragon Balls, caused some type of error, right? Some type of error, and thus creating an omen, creating a bad vibe, creating these shadow dragons, which eventually combined into Omega Shinran. So, but fear not, fear not, because I don't think they will go that route simply because we have a higher deity now, right? Now, like what I'm trying to say is, yes, indeed, the wishes that the Earths, like the wishes of the Earth Dragon Balls, or the wishes that has been made using the Earth Dragon Ball, can create a negative energy, thus creating the Shadow Dragons. That would be GT all over again. But I don't think that will happen. I do not think they will go that route simply because Beerus would rather die. He would rather die than to watch his precious Earth. His precious Earth that delivers precious and tasty food. His precious Earth, planet Earth, that pleases him, that welcomes him and serves him the delicious delicacy of all the food, all different types of food that he can eat, different types of ice cream, different types of sushi, you name it. And of course, Beerus has grown fond of Earth, including Whis as well. So, and we know Beerus and Whis are stronger than Omega Shinran, right? They can literally tell Omega Shinran, hey, your terror on this Earth has come to an end, so pack up your bags, pack up your little shadow dragons. You guys should pack up and go back to where you came from before it becomes your undoing. So Beerus and Whis will not sit back, although Beerus always are not to interfere in the dealings of the universe in a grievous way, except Beerus being the god of destruction. Yet Whis has saved planet Earth. Remember when Frieza blew it up? And Frieza gave Goku one last chance to make it right? So I don't foresee the Shadow Dragons causing a lot of, unless if Beerus and Whis decides to sit this one back and see if Goku and Vegeta and the Super Warriors or the Z Warriors can handle the aftermath of overusing the Dragon Balls. Unless if that is going to become a arc of his own, and you have Whis and Beerus sitting this one back, but keeping a closer eye, keeping a close goggle, a close 4K, ultra 4K eye on planet Earth, right? In case it doesn't get blown up, because it doesn't get destroyed. Unless if Beerus and Whis will sit back and watch over planet Earth and give Goku and Vegeta the chance to make it right and defeat the Shadow Dragons, then we might get an arc like, GT, or the Shadow Dragons like Omega Shinran and his posses, you know. So, but I don't foresee that happening. But if it does, it will be great, because then we can see what type of how they're gonna do it, what kind of emphasis they're gonna put on the Shadow Dragons, and how are they gonna do it. And again, that can also be something that can be produced as the end game of the Dragon Ball in its entirety, because Dragon Ball is still going on. Shadow Dragons, they may use it, they might play this card towards the ending of Dragon Ball, maybe the last arc that they're going to do. You know what I mean? But I don't foresee it happening. But if it does, it will probably be the closing of the Dragon Ball business for the last time. There have been multiple opportunities for Dragon Ball Super to tease ideas that are explored in Dragon Ball GT, but it's largely avoided such as connections. It's largely avoided such connections. Dragon Ball GT storylines and iconography have been left by the wayside. However, it does seem as if Dragon Ball GT's Shadow Dragon saga may gain new life through Dragon Ball Super. The Shadow Dragons comes into existence after a lifetime of negligent wishes that have abused this treasure. Just like I said, if they're going to play such a card, the Shadow Dragon saga, if they're going to play that card, it will probably be something that they will use to close the entirety of Dragon Ball for the last time. It will be the last saga they can do. But I don't foresee it happening, because Dragon Ball GT is canon, only that it happened in a different timeline. Okay? The reason why this may not happen, once again, it's because, like I said, Beerus and Whis, Beerus is not going to sit back and watch Omega Shinran kill off everybody, destroy his sushi restaurants, his steak, pizza, wasabi, whatever, ice cream, pudding. He's not going to sit back and watch Omega Shinran be destroying it and not do a goddamn thing about it. He's going to step in. But he could sit back and watch Goku and Vegeta deal with it, and maybe use the Dragon Ball to wish everything back to normal once again. Who knows, I'm just speculating at this point. Dragon Ball Super has been especially egregious, I hope I pronounced that word correctly, when it comes to wasteful Dragon Ball wishes. Whether it's Bulma's many cosmetic touch-ups. Yes, Bulma been abusing the Dragon Balls, I'm not gonna lie. Didn't she wish to be young? To be a little younger than she was? Yeah, she made a wish like that, if I'm not mistaken. She did make a wish to be a little younger. And she also made a wish to make her ass tighter or something like that. Whether it's Bulma's many cosmetic touch-ups, Mai's ice cream wish, Gohan's request to cure Pan's fever, oh my goodness, or Frieza's desire to use the Dragon Balls to grow a few inches taller. Golly. There has never been a more justified reason for the shadow dragons to come into play, and there have been determined theories that suggest these unnecessary wishes are Dragon Ball Super's way of canonizing the shadow dragons. Indeed, it is a factual analogy. The stupid wishes that they have made over time, and they will still make more stupid wishes as time goes on, could trigger some type of an omen, negative energy that could create and usher in Shadow Dragon Saga. That could happen because, especially Bulma, I mean, the Z Warriors sometimes has been using that wish or has been using their Dragon Balls carelessly, you know? So we'll see what's gonna happen. Number 3. Zeno and Remus fulfill the role of the original god of destruction and angel. Zeno and Remus fulfill the roles of the original god of destructions and angel. Now, Remus, for most of you guys, or some of you guys, few of you guys who have not seen Dragon Ball Daima, you should go watch it. I will advise it's imperative to watch it because it is canon. Only that it happened in a different timeline. Okay? Dragon Ball Daima, as much as we were disappointed, even I was disappointed towards the end, it is a canon show. It is very much canon as GT, except it happened in a different timeline. So go check it out. Because I know that there are still Dragon Ball fans that believe that Super is shit. Super is just trash. And if you say that Super is trash, if you believe that Super is trash, then most likely you believe that Daima is also trash. But it will be imperative for you to watch Super and watch Daima because there are a couple of nuance, couple of crucial information that you will be able to gain from watching Super and Daima. So, Dragon Ball has come a long way from the days of Kami, Kenkai, and Supreme Kais, representing peak power. Dragon Ball Super Zeno, the Omni King, is positioned as the multiverse ruler and someone who has the power to erase an entire universe on a whim. It stands to reason that there is no entity about Zeno in this tiered celestial ranking. However, Dragon Ball Daima explains that Remus, a super margin, actually created the multiverse from the demon realm. So, let me keep reading. This would suggest that Remus is stronger than Zeno. However, a logical theory is that Remus and Zeno represent a balanced yin and yang dynamic. Okay, good versus evil. That's akin to the god that's akin to the gods of destruction's relationship with angels or supreme kais. Zeno is seen erasing universes like Beerus, whereas Dragon Ball Daima explains that Remus is responsible for their creation. It will be rewarding if the Dragon Ball Super were to confirm their connection. Okay, so Remus and Zeno are like yin and yang. The yin that balances the yang and the yang that balances the yin. So, which means that Zeno is the evil one, if I'm not mistaken here, right? Zeno is more of a destruction, a deity, a high deity, a sophisticated cosmic deity that erases universe, while Remus is one that creates, that helps to create universe, which also makes sense why Zeno is more relatable to the gods of destructions, and which is the reason why during the preliminary tournament during Dragon Ball Super, Zeno made an appearance, right? Zeno dropped by to see what's up and ask the gods of destruction why are they doing such a thing and they did not invite him. Of course, he's joking, but to Beerus and Champa, that may not be a joke because you don't know what would take this being off. This cosmic being, you don't know what would take him off and he would erase the whole universe. So you can see the relationships between the gods of destructions and Zeno because they cannot do the same thing. Only that Zeno does his in his sophisticated, terrifying, and just grandest level, right? And Remus is more of I would say the relationship between him and the angels to some degree, right? But hopefully, as we go deeper into Super, as Super make hopefully when Super makes its comeback, there will be hopefully there will be a room to kind of edify the role of Remus a little bit more, and also to elaborate, to diversify his relationship with his own likeness that does the same thing he does, like such as like you know how Zeno and gods of destruction are kind of one and in the same. One does it in a high cosmic level, the other one does it in a planet level, you know. So Remus will have his own kind of people, or well, you can say the angels, right? But could there be more to Remus that meets the eye? Although Dragon Ball Daima did explain a little bit about him, but I think if there is room, not if there is, there should be room to elaborate a little bit more on his existence. Hopefully, he's going to make an appearance at some point. And I think, okay, I think the time, the moment Remus might make an appearance or the best opportunity or the best moment or the best welcoming moment, I'm trying to speak here, but will be, it will be maybe during Shadow Dragon Saga. I could see Remus making an appearance at that point. I could see it. Or based on the fact that Zeno has wished or revived the other universes, there is a room for Remus to make an appearance and meet Zeno, you know, to speak to him and to kind of understand Zeno a little bit on why he chose to revive these universes. And if what we know about Remus seems to be true, he's one that creates things, while Zeno is one that removes things. Why didn't Remus go after Zeno and well, I was going to ask a question, but the answer will be we already got the answer. Those universes that Zeno removed were going against the order of things. So, which is the reason why Remus did not see the reason why to go and interrogate Zeno for making a decisive decision. But it would be good to know, after Zeno destroyed those other universes that were wished back, did he had an encounter? Did he have some type of summoning with Remus? Did him and Remus discuss one or two things about the universe and the reason why these gods of destructions were destroyed and what they were doing? It would be good for us to see that, the interaction between Zeno and Remus. And I think that interaction will help edify his existence and diversify what we think about his existence in the universe a little bit more. All right. Number two, Gohan's decision to take a step back from fighting is the result of PTSD. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I cannot say this enough. All right. I cannot say this enough. But Gohan, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, has gone through some devastating PTSD. Gohan has been through a lot of shit. Gohan has been through a lot of badass and just terrible situations. Starting from when Goku died, Piccolo took charge of Gohan because they had to prepare for these other Saiyans that will be arriving. So all the Z Warriors has to get on board to train. They had to get hands-on to become better, to get better before these Saiyans that will be coming to Earth to wipe them out. So there was no room to play around, no room for Gohan to be a child or a kid, no room for nonsense. Piccolo literally took Gohan, took him out in the wilderness, dropped him off there and left him. And left Gohan as little as he was, right? Of course, the reason why Piccolo chose to do this, because Piccolo saw the potential of Gohan. Gohan was the only one, the first one, to lay his hands or his head on Raditz. He was the only one to touch Raditz, the first one to really lay a good, devastating hit on him. And, Piccolo just left him in the wilderness and left. This poor kid, had to strive on his own. And how old was he when Piccolo, I think he was what, 3 or 4? He had to fight he had to fight creatures in the wilderness. He almost got 8. He had to fight and crawl and scratch and survive and feed himself, take care of himself, all by himself. Now, I'm not sure if Piccolo was somewhere watching, right? Should he get in his super danger, I will interfere, but I don't think so, right? Maybe I forgot, but you can let me know in the comments section. Piccolo just dropped this poor boy all by himself. And when Piccolo came back, you can just imagine the trauma, just fighting creatures day in, day out. So many creatures trying to eat you. You either kill or be killed. You have to survive or else you're gonna die. You have to feed yourself. So whatever you can find, whatever you can kill, you eat. Whatever water you find, whether if it's dirty, you drink it. You can just imagine, all by yourself, nobody to talk to, right? And as if that wasn't enough, trauma, Piccolo comes back and starts training the boy. And Piccolo did not hold back. I mean, he held back, but you could just imagine, if you watch that saga, those episodes, Piccolo was whooping Gohan's ass. There was a point where Piccolo whooped Gohan so bad that Gohan was now in a river, is a fast-paced river, and Gohan was expecting Piccolo to save him. Piccolo did not lend him a hand at all. Piccolo whooped Gohan so bad that when Gohan reunited with Krillin or the Z Warriors, and Krillin asked Gohan, "So how was your training with Piccolo?" Gohan said, "With bandit on with bandit wrapped around his head," and said, "Well, Piccolo wasn't that bad. He's good. I love like." I don't think Gohan meant that, but I think the boy suffered a lot of PTSD, man. This is no joke. The boy went through a lot. And as if that wasn't enough, here comes Saiyan Saga. Here comes Vegeta and Nappa coming to Earth, decimating everybody. This boy watching Z Warriors get killed willy-nilly. Chatsu blows himself up. Yamcha gets killed by the Cyberman. Piccolo, who he can now rely on at this point, who he sees as his teacher, as a father, as anything he can ask for at this point, defends him and dies. You could just imagine the trauma. And then your father comes back. Before you know it, back to war. Before you know it, Namek Saga once again. Before you know it, the boy is taking on Raccoon. And you guys saw that kick. That kick that Raccoon gave Gohan. That kick was so devastating that Gohan's eye's pupil was almost in between life and death. I think he was speaking with his grandfather at that point. Gohan was between life and death. You guys saw like his eyes. His pupil, his black eye pupil was still kind of there, but it's faded. Imagine that PTSD. And then you deal with Frieza. And then you deal with the androids. And then oh man, Gohan has been through a lot. And I think we can see the reason why he is such a prodigy. Because all the things that he's been through, and I would say, don't quote me on this, but I think one of the reasons why that Gohan is able to advance so much whenever he gets mad, I think it's due because of the PTSDs that he has gone through. I think Gohan is able to advance so quick, not just because he's a prodigy, but based on the fact the post-trauma stress disorder that he has been through over the years. Can you guys imagine when he snapped? When Cell crushed the head of Android 16? The way they did that, how he snapped? Like, imagine taking up so much PTSD in your head, and then you're like, all of a sudden, one thing happens, and then you snap, right? And as if that wasn't enough, Cell Max from Dragon Ball Superhero. Once again, Cell, which Gohan remembered everything Cell did. All the atrocities the androids has done, all the people Cell killed, all the things he caused. Gohan still remembers that PTA. He still remembered all the everything that went on during Cell Saga. And imagine Cell whooping Piccolo and almost killed Piccolo. And then Gohan snaps once again and becomes Beast Gohan. Like, the boy has been through a lot. And Goten, Gotrunks, even though their potential is very promising, they have not been through half of the PTSD Gohan has been through. Gohan got it worse. They haven't been through it at all. Buu Saga didn't really give Goten and Trunks enough PTSD. Not really. That is not enough PTSD. I'm telling you. So yes, Gohan's decision to take a step back from fighting is the result of his PTSDs. I can see that. That is true. because at this point he's like, you know what? I've been through so much. Look at how much I went through. You know, I fought Cell, and by the end of the saga, I lost my Super Saiyan base form because I was so exhausted because of all the stuff that I've been through. I think I should take a vacation. I think I'm gonna take a long vacation from fighting. I think it played into the reason why Gohan left fighting. Of course, you can say it's because of Chi Chi. Chi Chi wanted him to go to school, to become a scholar, to help feed the family, to be a responsible man, and not just always fighting because there ain't really no money in fighting, really. You know, ain't no money in it. Ain't no that much fame in it, really. You know, so it's because of Chi. If it's because of I can't. All right, time to drink my protein shake. Protein, 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 protein. All right, let's try that again. I know we can say that it's Chi Chi. It's due to Chi Chi's doing because from day one, Chi Chi has always been wanting Gohan to be more responsible than his father. Chi Chi has always wanted Gohan to focus on his books instead of brawn. Instead of fighting. But as time has it, due to Goku being around, that can't happen. Due to Gohan surrounding himself with fighters, with Z warriors, Chi Chi didn't get her wish until the defeat of Cell and Goku dying. And then it's more clear to Gohan that at this point, the enemy has been destroyed. I don't think there's any other future enemy coming. And due to my PTSD and the shit that I've been through, things has never changed since the day my father died the first time. Died fighting Raditz. After everything, all the things I've been through, he still died. Even though I'm so strong, my father still died. I think I'm gonna call it quits for now. So yes, I know I emphasized on this subject longer than the others, but it's worth it. Dragon Ball Z Cell games are a revelatory period of change for Gohan. Right from the start, Goku has unwavering confidence that his son will be the one who is strong enough to finally defeat Cell. Even if Gohan doesn't believe it himself, a major difference between Gohan and Goku is that Gohan doesn't get the same rejuvenating feeling from fighting that Goku does. In fact, Gohan finds it abhorrent and it colored his youth in a very interesting way. Gohan is ultimately successful in defeating Cell only for Dragon Ball Z to turn the clock forward 7 years, in which Gohan has adopted a more laid back approach to martial arts as he focuses on being a teenager in high school. Dragon Ball Z, curiously, hasn't filled in the specific of this 7 years gap, which is true, which is open to interpretation. That being said, it's not hard to imagine that Gohan being pushed to his breaking point against Cell, all while watching his father die against him. You see, that's what I just said. That is what I just said just now. Leaves him traumatized and in no rush to train or fight. This seems like a believable trajectory for someone as empathetic as Gohan, who has continued to keep martial arts at a distance. Watching his father die again, I believe for the third time. Gohan watched his father die again for the third time. Now I know what you're probably thinking, E-Vlog, what the hell are you talking about? It's only two times that Gohan watched or felt that his father is dead. What? Where? Why are you saying the third time? Well, let me explain. Thank you for asking. I will explain it to you. If you've forgotten, I will tell you. I believe what Goku dying or Gohan watching his father die on Cell Saga is the third time. The first time was with Raditz. The second time was when Frieza thought he killed Goku because nobody can feel Goku's energy, including Gohan, which was what forced Gohan to go back to the battlefield to duke it out with Frieza. Goku's energy couldn't be felt anymore because everybody thought Goku died. Even Frieza thought Goku is boiling like stew in the lava. Gohan felt that if I have to step up at this point, there is nobody else to step up right now. I got to be the one to fight this being. Because if he is allowed to come to Earth, that will be it. My mom lives in Earth. My family is in Earth. I'm the only one left to take on this villain. That was the reason why Gohan went to fight Frieza. Because he couldn't feel his father's energy anymore. Thus, he thought that he died. And let's not forget about the PTSD from that. You know what I mean? So that's the boy has been through quite a bit. Number one, the great ape form has always held Saiyans back. Before I read the article under this point, I will say that is not true. That is not true. That is false. Maybe a part of it is true in a way, but not really. The Saiyans losing their tail has actually held them back. The great ape form, well, before I give more my perspective on this, let me just read what it says. I know I said that I'm not gonna read it, but let's look into why. Great apes were a popular Dragon Ball staple long before Saiyans were even introduced as a concept. Decades after Goku's first Great Ape transformation, the fandom still has a lot of nostalgia for the form, but it's worthy considering that it may be an outdated relic of the past that was holding the Saiyans back. The Great Ape form and the Saiyans' reliance on it likely kept them stuck in a barbaric culture and circle of violence, where they are only seen as blunt tools of destruction. There is a lot distinct possibility that may that many Saiyans would have become Super Saiyans, and that the transformation isn't actually that special if they weren't so invested in the great ape form to solve all their problems. The later Saiyans that get introduced to a post Great Ape world like Goten, Trunks, and Universe 6 Saiyans all excelled in this department. The same might have been true for past generations of Saiyans if they had just trained more and sought great power. Well, um I will say I can understand that the great ape held them back to an extent. The great ape held them back, but to an extent. Because they were so reliant on it that when there is no hope, when there is no hope, when the saints see that there is no hope of winning, they transform into a Zorro and wipe out their enemy. This is true. This was true. But even though the Ozoro form held them back, I will say that the Ozoro form would have advanced their evolution to become stronger. Why? It was the reason why Frieza killed them in the first place, because they were getting too strong. Now, although we now know that Beerus was behind it, which is the reason why I think, aren't they doing Beerus's job for him in the first place? Hey, that just sparked a theory. Why did Beerus kill or sanctioned the destruction of the Saints if they are causing destructions which Beerus, which is the pedigree or the pedigree of Beerus in the first place? They are doing his job for him, unless if Beerus distaste of the Saints simply because they were getting too strong. I hope that at some point we will get a full explanation on why Beerus wanted the Saints gone. I hope we will at some point get a we will get peace of mind if we will get this explanation on why Beerus sanctioned the destruction of all the saints. If they were destroying things, shouldn't Beerus love them in the first place? Or did Beerus feel like they are doing his job and thus doesn't like them? But every other race under Frieza's army, under Frieza Force is doing the same thing. Why did Beerus specifically pick the Saints' destructions? Now, I do understand that Frieza did blow up a lot of planets and took the strongest for himself, right? Still, why did Beerus wanted the Saints gone? That's a good theory that we need answered of that, you know? Now, I don't think the Ozoro form held the Saints back. If anything, it was helping them at a faster rate than they will ever dream of. The legendary Super Saiyan theory, or the legendary Super Saiyan prophecy, isn't that Saiyan able to go to a Zoro at will? I'm sure that whoever that is, whether we have heard of a name, Yamushi, the first Saiyan to transform into Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God and all of that stuff. We've heard of him. I'm sure he will be able to go into Ozoro, and I'm sure if that Yamushi exists somewhere, which another theory, could he have existed on one of those universes that Zeno destroyed? I don't know. I don't know if he existed. If somehow he teleported himself, he is so strong, immensely strong, that he teleported himself into another universe to take on the warriors over there, right? The stronger warriors over there. And thus happens to be the day Zeno will have those universes for dinner. Now that's, by the way, I would say the Saiyans Ozoro form didn't hold them back. If anything, it was making them stronger as they fight. And as sophisticated as they are, they don't go to Ozoro form unless if it is the last resort. Okay? They don't go to Ozoro form unless if it is a last resort. Dragon Ball GT made it crystal clear that Ozoro form was needed in order for Goku to tap into Super Saiyan 4. Without Ozoro, ain't no way Goku would have been able to become Super Saiyan 4. And Supreme Kai know about this. He can see, he knew what must be done for Goku to evolve, to surpass his limit. So I don't agree that the Ozoro form held them back. If anything, it helped to advance them at a faster rate. Goku and Vegeta wouldn't have gone through the amount of pain, the amount of training, although we appreciate the amount of struggle they have gone through to obtain the form that they have obtained. But I think it would have been way easier for them to tap into new levels if they had their tails with them, if they had their Ozoro form with them. And each and every time, I know I talked about this before on another podcast, and I emphasized deeply how much the Saiyans need their tail. Remember when Goku was transforming into Super Saiyan, was showing Majin Buu, his forms. Remember, during that transformation, you can see the inner core of Goku, his origin. You can see Ozoro in there. So even though that they have lost their tail, but their inner being, their inner cosmic DNA still yearns for that Ozoro. Not just that. On Planet Namek, when Goku was hallucinating, because Frieza was whooping his ass so much that Goku was not hallucinating, and he gets a vision, and he gets Vegeta. Vegeta came and spoke to him, right? And you can see Vegeta. He saw Vegeta as a kid, Vegeta naked with his tails. So, you can see each and every step of the way, that's who they are. Ozoro is part of who they are. And they wouldn't have gone through so much trouble like they've gone through over the years if they had their tails, if they had the Ozoro with them. They would have been able to tap into all types of forms. I mean, look at Super Saiyan 4 on Dragon Ball Daima. Look at just how, in order to do that, Goku needed his tail. And they made a mistake. I know I said this before. Dragon Ball Super Battle of Gods was the moment when all the Saiyans were supposed to get their tails back. Because in order to perform that ritual, it's a ritual, which means in every ritual you need the being, right? You need every fiber of who you are in order to perform such a ritual. That ritual shouldn't have worked if the saints did not have their tail, because we're talking about Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God form, right? That would have been the moment, the time to give the saints all their tails back, including Goten, including Trunks, including Gohan, including uh, Bola in the stomach. Now you can ask the question, well, how would that be done? Well, it could be like, okay, even though we have all the numbers, even though we have added Vidal's child, who is also a half a saint in this situation, the ritual shouldn't have worked. What would have made that ritual work is their tail. Now you might say, "Well, how are they how would they get their tails back?" Well, that's what we have Whis for. Well, that's what we have Supreme Kai for, or the old Kai for, because he was one that brought out Goku's tail on Dragon Ball GT. And I believe that Whis would have done it in a faster rate. Okay? I believe that Whis would have given the Saints their tails at a faster rate, which will help, right? Which will help to usher in Super Saiyan God form. That would have been the moment to give all the Saints their tails back. And had they had their tails back, Goku Super Saiyan God would have been way stronger than what it is. It would have been way stronger. Now I know you can say, well, if they had done that during that time, what about Dragon Ball Super Broly movie? Because by the time Broly comes back, if the Saiyans with their tails will speed with would okay. Let me drink my protein. All right. Let's try that again. You can say that if giving the Saints their tail will speed track their evolution to become way stronger than they were, that would have affected Broly movie, because Broly doesn't have his tail, right? Am I mistaken on that? He doesn't have his tail. Am I correct? So if Broly doesn't have his tail with him, because Paragas cut it off, hold on, let me search. Let me make sure, because it seems like I have no, bro, chat. I may have forgotten. Okay, forgive me for that. But Broly doesn't have his tail, right? Does Broly have his tail? I don't think the current Broly has his tail. Even the OG Broly didn't have his tail with him. Okay, thank you for clearing that up, man. Appreciate it. So you can say that given if Whis allowed the Saiyan to tap into their origin, which is getting their tails back in order to perform the ritual of Super Saiyan God, that would have affected Broly movie, because Goku, Vegeta, and the Z Warriors would have been so strong, so immensely strong that Broly would not be that much of a challenge. But in the other end, I would still say Broly will still be a challenge simply because he's Broly. Broly gains Zenkai boost as he fights. Broly is not like the other Saiyans who gains Zenkai boost after their battle, or when they're almost killed, or when they die and come back. Broly evolves as he fights. So, which leads me to what I was saying before. They made a huge mistake not giving the Saiyans their tail during the ritual of Super Saiyan God. Even to go back again, Battle of Gods, when Shinron was describing this guy, this legendary Super Saiyan God, or the synopsis of Super Saiyan God, the image that was presented, that person, that Saiyan has his tail with him, if I'm not mistaken, right? The Saiyan that Shinron was describing as one Super Saiyan God in the past or whatever, that Saiyan has his tail. And I can also put another theory on top of that. That Saiyan resembles Vegeta's ancestors, because that Saiyan that we saw literally has Vegeta written all over it, and which edifies Vegeta, the prince, his clan, his race, his bloodline as royalty, right? The Saiyan, the Super Saiyan God in the past, or whatever, the Saiyans did a ritual, put their energy into one. That seems like something only the higher ups of the echelon would know and to do. That seems like something like only the kings, right? The kings, and that seems like only royalty can perform such a ritual, because you know how you have a king, you have an oracle, you have these wise people, the elders or whatever. That seems like a royal thing to do, to perform such a ritual. And the image that we saw resembled Vegeta. That's another theory. That's another theory on the side. So I have given quite. I think that's it, man. That's it. So the Saiyan, or the Saiyans, having their Ozoro form and being able to tap into it at will, I would say that it would speed up their evolution. Now, on this article, they talked about the Universe 6 Saiyan all excelled in this department. I don't think the Universe 6 Saiyan excelled in anything. Okay? I don't think that the Universe 6 Saiyans excelled like the Universe 7. I don't think so. Now, with that being said, we don't know what Super may bring. Vegeta did tell Kaba that he will one day love to visit Universe 6 Saiyans and meet their king. Okay? Although he said that. But from what I can understand, the Universe 6 Saiyans has no knowledge on how to become a Super Saiyan. He needed the Universe 7. I don't even know why we think that they are they have evolved, they have advanced. No, they were not. They were not. They were not advanced at all. Now, can they have been more civil in that aspect? Can they have, I think they are more civil, right? Than the Universe 7 Saints, because the Universe 7 Saints are way more ruthless, and they are more they are more warriors, like, you know, they are more how do I say it? They are more of a brute, right? And Universe 6 Saints are more civilized, they are more civil. Be that as it may, it doesn't negate that they have evolved beyond what they should have been, because they needed Goku and Vegeta to show them how to become Super Saiyans. But they were able to adapt pretty quickly. I will give them that. All they needed is to hear how it's done, to see it with their own two naked eyes, and then they will go do it. So their adaptability is quite off the charts. I'll give them that. But they have not evolved to that extent beyond the Universe 7s, you know? Because again, the Universe 7 would have been evolved faster if they had their Ozoro. If they had their tails with them, they would have evolved faster than what we see now. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my take on it. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Um, I hope y'all enjoyed this podcast. Feel free to let me know what you think about my topic. If you have anything to add on what I said, if you disagree, hey, feel free to let me know. And of course, if you want to debate me or if you want to have a conversation, if you want to be a guest on one of my topic, if you want to join me to discuss Dragon Ball, right? Hit me up. Go to my description, the description of this channel. You will see my email. You can email me there, and let me know what you would like to do. If you want to join me to discuss Dragon Ball stuff, because I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball. I might dabble into Naruto at some point because Naruto is another great anime, and I know that for now I'm going to continue to do this podcast stuff. When I fully come back on YouTube to do reactions, I'm not sure how that will go because I still want to catch up with One Piece, but of course I will try and make time for One Piece and stuff like that. But I do enjoy the time that I have talking about this. I do enjoy it because you get to see things in a different way. It will help you think a little bit, even though some of you guys, if not most of you guys, already have an idea of these things, but you can also see it in a different light. You know what I mean? And there is nothing wrong with having a discussion, even if you do disagree with some of my topic, if not all my perspective. And if you want to hash it out and if you want to give me your own perspective, hey, hit me up and we can go laugh and we can talk about it. Yeah, you know. So that's that. Yes, I need to get back to Netflix One Piece live action. I think I will do a reaction on it this Sunday. Hopefully I will, because there's a topic that I want to talk about on Sunday on Dragon Ball. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this. I know how many. I can see your question over there. Have you watched Togenanki episode 6? No, I haven't. I may, after this live reaction, okay, I may record it real quick and post it on Rumble. So, uh, now I'm going through the chat real quick. Oh yeah, there is quite a bit to catch up on chat. Because when I'm doing the when I'm doing this article stuff, I kind of like to focus on it. Because if I'm looking into chat and stuff like that, I will miss my train of thought and my train of pace. You know. Yeah, man. I have to kind of focus on the topic at hand, and then when I'm done, then I can go over some stuff in the chat and see what's up. Alrighty. Um, quite a doozy. Quite a doozy day. Now I will be hosting or reacting to Lord of the Mystery tomorrow, Saturday, right? And Togenanki, I think I'm gonna watch it after this live stream, and I'm gonna post it on Rumble. So if you are already on my Rumble channel, you will be catching Togen Anki in a moment. So stay tuned on the channel. Stay tuned on Rumble. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Um, I will bid you guys good night for now. See, I can't talk now. I cannot talk now. What's going on? Okay, I will take on one more request. I'll take on one request. Or you know what? Swag, keep that request for now. Keep it and add more requests because I will do another podcast on Sunday morning. I will do another podcast on Sunday morning around 7. I think this will be an announcement. So keep all the requests, and I will do a request on Sunday morning. I will do another podcast because there is another topic on Dragon Ball I would like to discuss. So to help me get through the things that I gotta get through, I have to watch Togen Anki right now. So guys, you will catch me on Rumble in a moment. I think I'm gonna just record it and post it. And tomorrow morning is Lord of the Mystery. If I have time tomorrow, okay, if I have time tomorrow evening, I will react to One Piece live action. So stay tuned for that on Rumble. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming by. Take care. Keep on keeping on. See you in the next video. For SmackDown, I mean, if I have time this weekend, I will catch up to it. I will catch up on SmackDown. I will catch up on SmackDown. And when I go live on Sunday morning, I will talk about it as well. So no worries. All right, guys. Adios.